I avoided talking about this for a while. The reason why is because I didn't really see a benefit in doing it. I have a bit of an OCD where I tend to think about everything I post, everything I do and say, maybe a little bit too much. I say, well, how can people benefit from this? What's the negative side? Will the negative side outweigh the positive side? And if so, then I usually won't do it unless I'm trying to hurt somebody. But then I thought about all the leaders, teachers, and speakers that I looked up to at one point and realized that they all have given somewhat of a background story. Not because they were obligated to, but because I think what it does is it brings more clarity and understanding as to what your intention is. And in turn, it allows the individuals to feel more familiar with you as opposed to just coming across as an alien who came out of nowhere. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for clicks and views, and I can't be doing it for the money because this channel is not even monetized, okay? Basically, YouTube told me I'm not marketable. I got too much going on right now. And hey, this is their platform, not mine. So if they don't feel comfortable allowing their businesses to be promoted alongside my channel, then so be it. But anyway, this is about my first encounter with what we would call an extraterrestrial or an interdimensional. Okay, so I'm in the middle of autumn. It's October, knocking on Halloween's door. I'm about 8 years old. I remember it being an hour before my bedtime. So I want to say around 9:30ish. And I had to get up and go to the bathroom, which is right down the hall from my bedroom. So I went, and to make a long story short, I'm sitting on the toilet and I heard a nice kind knock at the door. No, that's not what happened. All of a sudden, someone kicks in the door and tries to rush me. There was no words, just straight up violence. Okay? And whatever this thing is, it waited until I was in my most vulnerable and awkward position. And the only thing that really stopped it from getting in was the fact that the toilet was so close to the door. So when it pushed in the door from the outside, my left leg actually caught it. And so here I am on the toilet. I'm freaking out. I'm humiliated. But there's no time to think about none of that. And so I throw both my hands up and I'm pushing the door closed while this entity is doing what he can to force its way through and do whatever it wanted to do to me. All right. And so we go back and forth with this for no longer than 10 to 15 seconds until I managed to catch his right arm in between the door. And when I saw that, I pushed as hard as I could. And at that moment, I think it knew that it was not going to win this scuffle. Now, this thing did not make a sound. It did not say a word. It just backed away and ran into my parents' room, which was down the hall to his left. Okay? Now, I sat there for a few minutes to gather myself. Okay? And then I got up and took a look into my parents' room, and of course it was gone. And that was that. Now, in terms of what it looked like, it looked like an old, rusty, dirty skeleton. It was grayish brown. It had no identifying features that would distinguish it between a male or a female. It was just a humanoid body. It wasn't that tall, but it also wasn't that short. And I remember it being very slender. And I never really shared this with people. I may have mentioned it once or twice in passing and then downplayed it. The reason why is because when I was a child, I had a stuttering problem, a speech impediment, which made me a very reserved and shy person. And two, I didn't really have the words for it anyway. I didn't know how to explain it. Like, I didn't know about extraterrestrials or demons back then. And three, I knew nobody was really going to believe me anyway, so what's the point in even bringing it up? But from that day on, I always had a invested interest in what we would call the paranormal, spirituality, and occult sciences. That, quite frankly, the religion that I grew up in forbids, which created conflict in me. Whole lot of conflict. And I was a Christian, okay? So now let me be clear about that. There are some things within the Christian faith and lore that I do value. I think the story is incredible. And I think that Jesus, or Yeshua himself as a person, if we can call him that, is a great example, if not the best, of what it means to be a loving and compassionate to your fellow man. Just being decent, putting aside your own ego for the greater good. And just as a side note, if the Christ ever comes back, according to the scriptures, it's not coming back to bring world peace. Contrary to popular opinion, it's coming back to destroy this current system of things, which I'm all for. So I ain't got no problem with the Christ. What I do have a problem with is the blatant dismissal of knowledge. Genesis itself tells us, do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For in doing so, your eyes are bound to be open and you will be like one of the Elohim. Apparently, Jehovah doesn't want this. He doesn't want this for us. Okay, so this created conflict up in me. And so now I'm just like, damn, I guess I'm supposed to just sit here and pray and just assume that it was just a demon, I don't even know nothing else. And for a while I did that. But I always had a drive to learn. Always had a drive to learn more. And so time passes. I'm about 17 years old now. Knowledge is coming at me from all angles. I'm at my boot camp. I'm sitting in my dorm. And someone's passing around a book catalog. And one of them I saw in there was entitled, Like a Splinter in Your Mind, the philosophy behind the Matrix films. And I said, I always enjoyed those films, but I always knew there was more to them than just special effects and kung fu, right? Those films are a commentary on the nature of reality itself. So I said, yeah, let me go ahead and take that. Let me go ahead and filter that. And then one book led to another. One lecture led to another, which leads me to this day, where I am right now. Okay? But going back to that bizarre encounter that I had when I was a child with a being that can only be described as otherworldly, that was the catalyst that kicked off all of this. Now, was this an actual ET from another planet in possession of some kind of technology which allows him to teleport from A to B? Was it a being from another dimension with the capability of phasing in and out of this one? Perhaps. Only thing I can say definitively on that is that it obviously wanted something from me. Okay? As for what that something is, I can speculate based on people who have had similar experiences. Maybe it wanted to abduct me, and so on and so forth. Had I found out what it wanted, I might not be standing in front of you today. But here I am, apparently stronger than what I thought I was. A positive was made out of a negative, and it does not stop here. I will continue to carry on the complicated legacies of those who came before me. There's a lot more work to do, and it will be done, even if I'm the last man standing. All right? Because bottom line is, I've learned so many things at this point to just keep it all to myself. Okay? So you will see more from me in the future. I promise you that. And I hope this channel can do some good for y'all. I will be back with more soon. Thank you.